Hey guys, today we are going to continue with volume. Yesterday we worked with volumes of solids, particularly regularly shaped solids such as a block or a box. Today we're going to find the volume of a liquid. So with liquids we cannot use our length times width times height formula. Instead, we use beakers or graduated cylinders. These containers show the volume of a liquid by marking the volume at different points of the cylinder. So you can see over here we've got all these little tick marks that show various volumes. For our class, we will typically report the volume of a liquid with the unit millimeter. Just like we have 1,000 millimeters to make 1 meter, we have 1,000 milliliters to make 1 liter. You may not be super familiar with a liter, but if you went to the store and you got a giant bottle of soda, that would be called a 2-liter. That's because there are 2 liters of liquid in that container. So that's 2 liters. 1 liter would be about half of that. And then we divide that 1 liter into 1,000 different pieces or different units, and that makes a milliliter. So milliliters are pretty small, but 1 milliliter is the same as 1 cubic centimeter. So if we were able to take our 1 milliliter of water and form it into a cube, it would be the same as 1 cubic centimeter. Different graduated cylinders increase by different amounts, different increments. So it's very important that you're paying attention to the labels on the graduated cylinder and that you're using those labels to determine what each little tick mark represents. So for instance, on these 3 graduated cylinders, this one has a highest amount of 100, and we can see 80, 60, 40, 20, that's counting by 20s. So the largest line represents 20 milliliters. There's a medium-sized line in between, so that would represent 10 because it's halfway there. Halfway between 0 and 20 is 10. And then it's got 5 tick lines between, say, 40 and 50, and we divide that into the 5 different sections. That would be 2 milliliters per line for the smallest tick mark on that one. Whereas here, each big line represents 50, the middle medium-sized line represents 25, and each small line represents 5 milliliters. This big one can hold up to 500 milliliters, so we've got 100s here that we're counting by. Half of 100 is 50, and we divide that 50 into 5 equal sizes. Each little line represents 10. For your assignment today, we are going to use the same increment or interval for each slide. So you're only going to have to focus on one of those today. When you are measuring liquids, it's very important that you look at this meniscus, which is the curved line, and you're always measuring from the bottom of the meniscus. So in our drawings, the curved line will be pretty obvious and it's pretty easy to tell where the bottom of the curved line is. Here you can see what a meniscus would look like with a real liquid. It has that curve, that darker area. We're always going to measure from the bottom of the meniscus. So for instance, this would be at 20 milliliters. We want to measure from the bottom part of the meniscus. So your assignments today will have a curved line. You have to make sure you're measuring from the bottom of the curved line. It's always a good idea on these ones especially to zoom in so that you can get a closer look. So we can see here the top of our meniscus of our curve is about 2 tick marks higher than the bottom of our curve. So that will affect your results. This is a measure of 50 milliliters, not 52 milliliters. We're measuring from the bottom. So I said it's at the 50 mark. So down below, we have a measurement is 50 milliliters. Your first several slides that you have to find the volume are right at a bigger tick mark, a numbered tick mark. However, on slide 9, you'll notice we've got this very overwhelming diagram. I mentioned earlier that we have we have to figure out what the different tick marks represent because not all of them are labeled. So here we have the 10 to 20 milliliter measure, and I've zoomed that in a little bit here. Each single tick mark, each of these small tick marks, show 1 milliliter. So we would have 10 milliliters, then 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way up to 20 milliliters. So each one tick mark represents 1 milliliter. So for instance, on slide 10, we can zoom in here, and if we slide over here, here's my 70 milliliters. This would be 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, and our green line is right at 78 milliliters. So you'll count up those tick marks, and this gives us a measure of 78 milliliters. As always, you will lose points if you do not include a label with your answer, so make sure you're including that label. It's milliliters with a lowercase m and a capital L. Pay close attention to that capitalization as you're filling in those units. You've got 4 more slides after slide 9 and 10, so make sure you get those done as well, and make sure you submit these when you are done. Let me know if you have any questions.